Delighted to say, joining myself and Johnny in studio is the new Roscommon senior football manager, Davy Burke. Morning, Davy. How are things?
Hey lads, how are you getting on?
I thought it was David Burke that was on. I was like, this is great. We're talking Galway hurling. Jeez,
this is even better. This is even better.
Don't let my mum hear you say that, Johnny. She's very particular.
Yeah. It's funny, David. A lot of people know that you were the Wicklow senior football boss prior to this. Something that I didn't realise was that Roscommon is actually going to be less of a commute for you than Wicklow, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I live in Kilcock, so I'm halfway there, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's an hour and 20 from my front door really to the Hyde. So it's decent enough. Yeah.
You're the youngest, I think, inter-county manager. Does that add with it a weight of pressure, or just maybe it's the opposite? Maybe you can feel more relaxed. It's like, oh look, I've got a few years here, lads. Give me a chance.
No, and this is my second stint of being the youngest inter-county manager. So no,
been there, done that.
If you're good enough, you're old enough. I wouldn't be too worried about any of that type of stuff. I'd never have any problem commanding respect, or I think lads just see the work ethic, etc. So I never get too bogged down in any of that.
Yes.
Your career just ended so early as well, didn't it? Like, you had catastrophic injuries.
Yeah. When I was about 14, I think it was 14, I got a bad knee injury, and it was probably now you'd be sent for a scan straight away, whereas back then it was more x-rays. So I would have got an x-ray and I had a fractured knee, so I got casted, etc, for a couple of months. But sure, the minute I came back, the ligaments were never fixed, that kind of way. So ultimately ended up with a plastic kneecap now, so I ended up doing a bad job on it altogether. And from then on in, like in my household, my mother was the county chairman, my father was the Board and Oak chairman, managing the county teams. Like, there was no other option, that kind of way. And
I can't play, so what am I going to do?
When you're being brought to central council meetings in obscure locations around the country, you get the graph fairly early. So I just went into coaching early, and that was it.
How do you think the Wicklow job has prepared you for the Roscommon gig? Because I know it's Division 1 football you're heading into now at Roscommon. A seriously tough Connacht Senior Championship with the likes of Mayo and Galway in there as well. So totally different challenge, but I'm sure the Wicklow job gave you a sense of what's ahead.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Just from dealing with county boards, dealing with charters, dealing with players, dealing with that level of player. They're so competitive. They're so, for want of a better word, selfish in a good way, in that they want to achieve, and what can you do to help me get to where I want to go? And that level of demanding, and I love that. I thrive in that environment, because that's where I want to be. And I learned a huge amount from Wicklow in that, and even the different dynamics in the clubs. This club mightn't get on great with that club. There's all them different dynamics you deal with every county. And so I got a huge ground in there from the media as well. It's all important. When you're in Division 1, it's a completely different ball game. I could have been in Auckland with 1,000 people maybe. I think you won't have less than 7 or 8 or 10,000 in the Hyde, I'd say, for any of these games. So it's a completely different kettle of fish, but I feel I've got a good grounding from them, and learned a huge amount from Wicklow. Yeah.
I was up home in Monaghan there at the weekend. I was chatting to Gregory McGonigal, former Dublin ladies boss. I know you cut your teeth as well alongside him as assistant. Experience, and he was very complimentary, I have to say, about you.
Good man, Greg. I'll send that to you.
100%. yeah. But what cutting your teeth with other managers and kind of learning as you went along over the years. Are you someone who kind of takes little bits from different coaches? Are you taking little bits from other sports even, or how's your I guess coaching game been cultivated?
Yeah. Well, initially probably would have started out with my dad. I would have been probably cut out of him really, in that his style, his management style, and his probably his coaching style, and then would have moved on. And probably one of the first top coaches I would have met was Greg, really, in 2014. How that came about was we both went for the Dublin ladies job at the time, and they pieced us together. So he was much more experienced coach than me at the time, so I learned a huge amount off Greg, and Greg was brilliant with the girls on the field, but he was also brilliant with county boards. He would have taught me a huge amount more. I would have been maybe a bit too direct at times and different things, right? And Greg would have taught me a lot about that, so I learned a huge amount off him. But not only that, I at the minute I'd watch a lot of NFL, I watch a lot of soccer. I don't follow anyone, but I'd be very interested in, say, the last couple of years with Liverpool, their high press game, and now you're seeing the likes of where Trent is exposed because of such a high press, and where's the space? Well, the space is in behind. And it's very similar if you're pressing a kick out, where are you exposed, where are you open? So I'm trying to take a lot out of everything, to be honest with you, and I understand it's all evasion, it's all field based sports, and so just trying to learn from everything really, and you can pick stuff up from everything. And if there's an under 20 or under 16 game on the local pitch, or even a training session, I'll watch it for 10-20 minutes of them there, and I'll get something out of it, that kind of way. Whether I say, right, I mightn't do that, but geez, I could work with that, that kind of way. There's always something.
How open is Gaelic games to more nuances and more change, in terms of, and the innovator you're trying to be?
Well, I think it's getting there, Johnny. I don't think there probably was a bit of a closed shop for a while. I think I'm not sure you come in with fresh and new ideas. Some lads would have been, oh, hang on here now, that's not how we used to do it. But I do think it's getting there. There's a lot more new age coaches and really dynamic people coming into it. And you know what I found? For years and years there was no sharing in the GA. Like none of us shared. Oh, I can't tell you my secrets because I created them. Anyone who tells you they created anything is not telling you the truth, in my opinion. You know, we've all got something from somewhere and maybe put our own tweak to it or maybe added to it, you know. But for me now, I'd be in I'd have different groups of coaches that we'd be in regular contact with each other. Right, we're playing X the weekend, we're thinking of setting up like this. What do you think? Break us down. Oh yeah. Geez, you have to. Yeah. Because your brains and your management team brains are brilliant, but ultimately you need to go into with a fresh pair of eyes and say, hang on, I'd get you there, or I'd do this, and then you tighten up, and that's how you become better.
Will that happen at Division 1 level?
Yeah, well, you mightn't be talking to your opposition lads, but there's plenty of high level coaches out there, say in the club game or in Division 2 level, that you'd be sharing. But you know, ultimately you need to, because they'll be picking your brains the following week on
reciprocal, like.
Yeah, you have to do it, and that was not there previous. You know, that's coming into it more and more.
Would you've been watching now since you were confirmed as the Roscommon boss? Like, is it a case of watching back matches from Roscommon in the last couple of years, tapes, videos, trying to, you know, catch up on club championship matches and see if there's, you know, some young players we could bring into the squad, or even more experienced players? Like, what's the process been like since you got the job?
It's been a whirlwind. Oh God, it's about 7 or 8 days since it was confirmed. I think it was last Wednesday it was confirmed, and she's been hectic now. I think 7 days in the bounce. I'm in Roscommon now, so I have a very, very patient wife, lads. I don't know how much more patience she has though, but it's just trying to confirm backrooms, trying to confirm, like, meet the senior players, you know, trying to meet county boards, trying to sort. There's just so much to sort out, you know. But I'm very, very close to being there. I've watched a good few videos. The Roscommon Championship games, club championship games are on YouTube, so I've access to them. I've watched a good few of them. More late night viewing, you know. I would have had a good grip on Roscommon the last couple of years. I would have watched a good few of their games live, and I also would have seen on telly, and also they're all available to me as well. So I'd have a fair handle on the squad and what I think might be required to maybe get a couple of inches improvement, hopefully adds improvement. And then one of the main attractions to me is the age profile is late 20s, we'll say, of the core squad, right? So there's good 3, 4 or 5 years left in them boys, but there's some extremely talented 20 to 23 year olds coming through that they've had some really good 20 teams, really good minor teams, and probably didn't get their chance the last couple of years. Now maybe that's down to conditioning, maybe they weren't ready for their chance, maybe they weren't training well, I don't know, but we're going to get them in, and like come the first round of the league, we'll hope to be a newish look to this team, you know, because ultimately I'm trying to create competition, you know, that kind of way, and I want fresh blood in, and these boys are talented.
Well, people would say, why are you taking on this job? Because like, what's the upside of this in terms of your Division 1 team, like on the cusp of, you know, potentially getting relegated? You can't win in All-Ireland, so why would you take a job like this? But do you think there is upside?
Oh jeez, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be in the job if I didn't, Johnny. I think it's one of the most exciting jobs in the country, where no one expects you to stay in Division 1. You know, no one gives you a chance. Geez, I only love that type of crack. You know, that kind of way. That really gets me going. And so, like, there's huge. They were in an under 20 All-Ireland final 2 years ago. You know, they were one another Connacht 20s last year, the year previous. Like, there's huge talent coming, and it's untapped talent. You know, and that's coming. And for me, looking at the senior team, I definitely think there's maybe a little balance issue, or just little small improvements there, handy wins that can be made, I think, structurally, we'll say, and the talent is there. Like, and what's the big thing about Roscommon as well? They forwards, Johnny. You know, like, you know, you were a club team, you're crying out for forwards generally, you know, that kind of way. Whereas these guys have them in abundance, and I want to work with talented forwards now, you know. So, no, for me, it's massively positive. I wouldn't believe any of that other crack, to be honest.
It's funny, like you can feed off criticism and people putting you down like that, and it's natural enough. I guarantee, even my own county Monaghan, like and Vinnie Corey's in fresh to that job as well. I guarantee Monaghan and Roscommon for the bookies. I haven't looked, but will be the two favourites to go down.
Monaghan will pull it off though. They always do.
But like it isn't that sort of thing where it's not quite the newspaper on the wall for the players, but the more people put you down and expect you to be relegated and not do anything in the championship, it kind of motivates yourself and the players probably.
Yeah, absolutely it does. I'm only new into the job, and already I'd be frustrated by the narrative or whatever, you know. So yeah, absolutely motivates you. But having said all that, in Division 1, motivation will get you so far, lads. Division 1 is it's ruthless. It's absolutely ruthless, and we've Tyrone up first according to the provisional fixtures, and you know, Tyrone probably didn't have the best year last year, so you can imagine now they're gonna come in ready to go. You'd imagine imagine now, you know. So you know, you can have all the motivation and all the newspaper clippings in the world. They don't mean a huge amount when the ball's thrown in. Like, you know, you're either prepared or you're not. You're in conditioned or you're not, and you're tactically astute or you're not. You know, that kind of way. And so that's the 5% maybe, but the other 95 is the every day of the week, and it's the level of consistency, lads. The teams like the Roscommons, the Monaghan's, you know, the top of Division 2, they have to find a level of consistency. That's my issue. It was my opinion is the issue is, you know, might be brilliant this week and not so good next week, but you can't survive in the top level without a level of consistency, you know.
You would have comparisons between the two of you as well, like football mad counties, like not massive population, and you know, you would probably already attest to that. Roscommon is football mad, like.
Oh yeah, they're mental about it.
Like Wicklow isn't, in fairness.
No, it's not. No, and no, it's not. It's completely different. You know, I could have been walking around. No, the players in Wicklow are unbelievable, County Board. But I could have been walking around Ockram or Wicklow Town for 2 years and no one had ever bat an eyelid. Genie in Roscommon already. I was sitting in a petrol station last night in Roscommon, and oh mother of God, the window got tapped 3 times in 10 minutes. They are.
That
mad.
was the one lad.
They're mental about it.
Yeah,
but I love that, Johnny. That's.
Don't go to Rockford now until you win something.
Yeah, we'll hold off. Yeah.
Mark McHugh, big name in the backroom team as well, and like a lot of good vibes coming out of him in Donegal in terms of his coaching pedigree as well. Do you have the backroom team finalised, or how's that taking shape?
I'm very close to it. So the management at the minute is Mark McHugh is confirmed. Obviously, everyone will know Mark from his Donegal days. A very exciting young coach as well. I think we're fairly like-minded. Eddie Lohan, ex-Roscommon player, Kilbride man, 2 brothers as well, so they're well known in the community. And then Jerry McGowan from Sligo is also on board as coach. He's been with Clare for a number of years now. Turle Strand man, very exciting coach, very exciting addition to the. So that's the 4-man ticket at the minute. We'll say the backroom team is in place. There's a head of performance on site, Gary Flannery, who works for Roscommon GA, and then there's a big backroom team like what comes with all these. Like comes with all these jobs at the minute, so we're happy enough with that at the minute. There may be one more addition, I'm not certain yet, but I'm very happy that that's a fairly strong coaching ticket, selection ticket for now.
What was Mark's like-minded?
Well, what I mean is he's young, he's enthusiastic, he's energetic, and he's on a journey, like, you know, like, as in he's
trying to progress as well. Like.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for him, but yeah, he's trying to move forward essentially, you know, and very ambitious, and I came through the ladies ranks as well, as we just discussed. So I wouldn't. Some people might fear that, it's not good enough. It's a different level of football. I think ladies football is a hugely it's a hugely good high level of football at the minute, you know, that kind of way. So if you're coaching at that level with Donegal or with Dublin or with Cork or with Meath, you're a decent coach, like, you know. Even there's a contrast with Paul Carrigan there, like he's gone into the Meath seniors now, so you know, there's a huge overlap at the minute, I think, between the two. So he's just very like-minded, and I would have seen him in the trial the other day, and just were very similar, very similar. And look, he's still at the peak of his powers. He's 32 years of age, playing for Kilcar, so I think the Roscommon boys better get used to him being stuck in the middle of them during drills and stuck in the middle of them during runs, and I think that's going to add a huge layer when, rather than the likes of me with just a whistle, when someone will actually get out there and do it with you. I think it makes a huge difference, you know.
I look at managers sometimes like Davy Fitz comes to mind, Rory Gallagher comes to mind, who are all action on the sidelines, and Rory spitting in the hands and living every moment, and you're exhausted nearly looking at them. Like, watching Wicklow matches as well, you'd be similar enough in that you're an all action manager on the sidelines. Like, do you go home from a match, say on a Sunday afternoon, and you must be just wrecked?
Yeah, I do, without the spitting, I do a lot of the rest of it. Yeah. Look, you play, you kick every ball, you're emotionally and physically wrecked on a Sunday evening, like completely and utterly wrecked. Look, that's the style. The 3 lads you named, Davy, myself, Rory, we're coaches probably at heart, and we like to coach our teams through the games. And look, there's pros and cons to all that, but you'd be absolutely, you'd be fit for nothing afterwards. Yeah.
Well, listen, what's the ambition finally for you, Davy, this year? I know when Porrick Joyce took the Galway job, he said, look, I wouldn't be in this position if I didn't think we could win All-Ireland, and came so close last year and getting to the final. So, like, what's the overall ambition? Is it a 3-year term?
Yeah, 3-year term.
So what's the I guess, short, medium, long-term goals?
Well, the short will definitely be Division 1. We're targeting, as I said, consistent level of football. We want to be training at a level and playing at a level to be a consistent top 8 team, minimum. That's the short. That's 100% the short-term goal. And medium goal is obviously Connacht Championships. It's a non-negotiable in Roscommon. They're looking for silverware. They're looking for Connacht Championship. And then ultimately for me, I think it's since 1991, is it, or since they were in an All-Ireland semi-final. So you need to be pushing on, progress all the time. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to win Sam Maguire in the short term, but you got to be moving forward here, so move forward, retain Division 1, Connacht Championships and also semi-final appearances, and then you can build from there. In my experience, you don't go from quarter-finalists to finalists. That doesn't generally happen. So you have to go step by step by step, and so ultimately in the 3 years, 5 years, that's the plan.
Listen, Davy, we wish you the very best of luck. Exciting to get this job, Division 1 role.
Yeah.
Take it handy on Mountain in the league, will you? The other games you can go hell for leather. But listen, thanks a million for coming up to us today.
Cheers, lad. Thanks,
Cheers. That's Davy Burke, the new Roscommon senior football manager.